Chapter 73, May 23, 2020, 1:46 p.m. I genuinely enjoyed the movie. I know that's a shocking statement coming from me, considering I hate everything, but it's the truth. I would even go so far as to call it one of the greatest animated films ever made. One thing I liked about it was that it didn't come off as preachy. I feel like with a lot of Christian movies, they come off as self-righteous. My favorite part of the movie was when the 10 plagues struck Egypt. It's such a dark scene for a kid's movie, but man, is it breathtaking. I also liked how they made Ramses a tragic villain. I honestly felt sympathy for him despite his awful actions. I feel like no one in this world is truly righteous or truly evil. We're on a sort of spectrum. I like to believe that most people are good, but it's hard when there is so much hatred in the world. Analee, I gotta be honest. I thought it would be awful, but it genuinely impressed me. You know what scene I thought was amazing? Let me guess, the one where Moses runs through a bunch of hieroglyphs, she asked with a tiny smile. How did you know? I asked, surprised. I just had a feeling. My favorite scene is where Moses confronts Ramses after his son dies. He was a villain, but I felt bad for him. He just wanted to be accepted by his father. Sometimes, we will do crazy things to be accepted by someone. I feel like a lot of people in this world do what's popular over what's right. The truth has never been popular because it often hurts. It sickens me to see so much materialism in this world. People are buying expensive clothes just to show off. That's pathetic to me. Why should I waste my money on something that isn't worth the price? People should buy something because it has value, not because everyone else is doing it. I just feel like society is concerned with the wrong things. It promotes selfishness. How can we change the world when all we love is ourselves? Clive, that was the most profound thing I've heard in a while. I completely agree with what you said. I feel like many people know what the truth is, but don't accept it. The thing is, accepting something requires us to acknowledge we need to change. People don't want to change. Not all change is good. I think people often forget that. Sometimes, things become worse, and when they do, we appreciate the past. You never know what you have until it's gone, you know? Trust me, I know. When you lose something or someone, it changes your entire life. It's like you have to fill the hole with something else. For example, I listen to music to distract myself from life's problems. I can't imagine life without it. It will never leave you no matter how many years pass by. I wish it was like that with people. I wish good people never left, she said, fighting back emotions. At that moment, I started thinking about all the people I lost throughout my life and how much I missed them. There was a bit of an awkward silence for about 10 seconds following this. Do you know the song I Wish Grandpas Never Died by Riley Green? She asked out of nowhere. I don't actually, but I would like to listen to it, I said with a genuine smile. Being around Analee made me feel safe and loved. Okay, hold on, she said as she took a JBL Charge 3 speaker out of her backpack. She connected her phone to Bluetooth and put the song on. I won't lie, the song made me emotional. It made me think about my family and how much they loved me. My family is crazy, but I wouldn't have it any other way. There's a certain beauty in chaos. Without it, would we really value anything? I doubt we would. That was a beautiful song, I said with a pained smile. There's a country song for everything. There's this one song that's a guilty pleasure of mine. It's a Lakey Breaky Heart by Billy Ray Cyrus. I interrupted. That's the one. It has the worst lyrics in history, and yet it's so catchy, she said with a chuckle. Let's listen to it together, just you and I. Okay, but don't blame me when the song gets stuck in your head for the rest of eternity. No promises, I said with a chuckle. As she played the song, I was flooded with memories of all the awkward high school dances I went to. They always played inappropriate shit like Low by Flo Rida and Salt Shaker by the Yin Yang Twins. Those songs would have been fine to play in 2007, but this was over 10 years into the future. I gotta admit that as much as Flo Rida's rapping sucks, his songs are insanely catchy. I sometimes hum his song Whistle despite hating it. I don't recommend you listen to it, it has some of the worst lyrics in history. I also have I Cry play in my head from time to time. But seriously, the guy is the definition of corporate. If something is so bad that it's good, is it still bad? I asked with a chuckle. Yes and no. It's good because it's bad. That sounds so weird to say. It does, but I get what you mean. Anyways, I should probably get back home, I said with a massive yawn. Why so soon? She asked, surprised. I'm writing a book, I want to work on it, I lied. The real reason I wanted to go home at that moment was that I started hearing shit again. I listened to some asshole yelling at me over the phone for no reason and knew that I had to get out as soon as possible. This annoying imp thing also kept laughing at me in a high-pitched voice. Well, be sure to send it to me when you're done with it, she said excitedly. I will, I said hurriedly as I left the room. I didn't want to go, but I knew that I'd freak Analee out if I didn't. The worst part was I was about 5 seconds away from kissing her. The universe wouldn't let me feel joy, it wanted me to suffer in purgatory. The hallucinations only got worse after going outside. I hallucinated a cop who told me I was under arrest for time traveling and took out handcuffs. Before he could put them on me, he vanished into thin air. Well, more like exploded into 1,000 glass shards, but still. Another terrifying hallucination that I had was that of a girl screaming in agony. It was purely auditory, but it felt so real that I nearly tried to find the source of it. I knew I had to keep going and not pay any attention to my hallucinations, I had to overcome hell. I had experienced a minimum of 25 auditory and visual hallucinations by the time I arrived home. Most of the auditory hallucinations were of people yelling at me or my family asking me questions. I remember my mother kept asking if I was okay and if I wanted to be taken to the hospital. I responded in my head that I was fine, and she asked me, "Are you sure you're okay?" I answered that I was sure and she disappeared. The visual hallucinations, on the other hand, had no rhyme or reason. I remember seeing a Ford Model T in the middle of the road and walking towards it. I touched it to confirm it was real, and the car exploded into 1,000 pieces. I hallucinated Malcolm as I walked and asked him what he was doing in the middle of nowhere. I was so delirious that I had entirely forgotten he was dead. The situation felt strangely normal to me as a result. When I finally got home, I ran straight to my room and locked the door behind me. I couldn't let anyone know what was happening to me, I had to suffer this hell alone. I looked at my posters for comfort and hallucinated Spike giving me the middle finger. It would have been hilarious if I wasn't so paranoid and anxious. I stared at my smoke detector since the posters weren't of any use and was horrified to see it drifting about like that doorknob I told you about. If I looked away and then looked back at it again, it would snap back to its original position. I closed my eyes to escape the hallucinations, but they continued. I witnessed countless insects and saw the Hat Man again. Once again, he said nothing and just stared at me. After he disappeared, the hallucinations ended. I was beyond thankful for that brief moment of sanity. I put on music to take my mind off this hell, choosing Shine On You Crazy Diamond by Pink Floyd because of how long it was. I would have 26 minutes of heaven. Listening to it reminded me of the day my mother introduced me to Pink Floyd. She played Wish You Were Here in the car, and I asked her what the song was. After telling me about Pink Floyd, I started listening to them like crazy. I remember hearing Any Color You Like for the first time and feeling like I was floating in space. The most incredible experience I've had with one of their songs was when my mother played Welcome to the Machine in the car. The audio is super trippy and messes with your head. I fell asleep before the song ended, and that was my ticket out of hell. Sleep is the one time I don't worry about everything, it's my escape from the real world. The real world sucks.